April 30th, 1975. The fall of Saigon. The capital of South Vietnam is in its death throes. For America, it's the final, humiliating chapter in its longest and most divisive war. For thousands of Vietnamese, it's a desperate scramble to escape the future. After a decade of fighting, 58,000 American lives and millions of Vietnamese dead, one question echoed across the world. How did it come to this? How did the most powerful nation on earth lose a war to a small Southeast Asian country? The answer isn't found in these chaotic final hours. It lies decades in the past, in a series of fateful decisions that sealed America's destiny. America didn't start this fire, it inherited it. Vietnam was a French colony, and when Ho Chi Minh's nationalist forces declared independence after World War II, France fought to hold on, and lost. In 1954, after a crushing defeat, Vietnam was split in two, a communist North and a pro-Western South. In the high-stakes chess game of the Cold War, America was obsessed with the Domino Theory, the fear that if one nation fell to communism, its neighbors would follow. And so America placed its bet. It backed South Vietnam, and in doing so, unknowingly stepped into a war it was destined to lose. More critical, analytical. But the foundation America built upon was rotten. The government in South Vietnam was a corrupt, brutal dictatorship, despised by its own people. While the Saigon elite grew rich off the black market, the rural population saw them as nothing more than puppets of the West. This resentment fueled a powerful insurgency, the Viet Cong, secretly supplied by the North. America found itself trapped, defending a government nobody loved from people fighting for their own country.
In August of 1964, the Tonkin Gulf incident provided the spark. Congress gave the president a blank check to wage war. America went into Vietnam ostensibly to protect freedom. No one knew this police action would spiral into a decade-long nightmare. America brought its full military might to bear, but it was the wrong kind of war. Against a ghost-like enemy that lived in the tunnels and faded into the population, the U.S. Army turned to a brutal strategy of attrition. Agent Orange defoliants poisoned the landscape, napalm incinerated villages. The more America bombed, the more enemies it created. As one general famously vowed, they would bomb them back to the Stone Age.
But the war America was truly losing was the one back home. It became the first television war, the living room war. Uncensored images of its brutality were broadcast into American homes every night, shattering the government's narrative of progress. A generation that refused to be cannon fodder took to the streets. The country fractured. By the early 70s, it was brutally clear the war was unwinnable. The new mission? Find an exit. Henry Kissinger began the complex search for peace with honor, a way to withdraw American troops without admitting defeat. Paradoxically, to force North Vietnam to the negotiating table, Nixon ordered some of the most ferocious bombing campaigns of the entire war. An agreement was finally signed. American troops would leave. In Washington, it was sold as a diplomatic triumph. For South Vietnam, it was a death sentence. The moment the U.S. left, North Vietnam shattered the peace agreement and launched its final invasion. 2 years later, the South Vietnamese government collapsed. America had lost.
The final cost? 58,000 American names carved into this wall, and as many as 3 million Vietnamese lives. The true price was a national trauma that, for many, has never healed. Veterans who came home not to parades, but to protests and indifference. A generation's loss of faith in its government, its military, and itself. Today, America and Vietnam are trading partners, but the scars remain. The end was not a moment of relief, Henry Kissinger later reflected. Perhaps because Vietnam taught America a terrible lesson, that military might is no guarantee of victory, and that a nation's greatest enemy isn't always a foreign power, but the lies it tells itself.